All right, here we go. Interview session.
Words that annoy you.
We're going out for New Year's. I seen that. That's got to go. LOL. Nobody laughs out loud. Acronyms. Those have to go.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. We're backstage with Jim Wynne, bassist extraordinaire from Buffalo. So yeah, we just recorded one of your original songs called VIP.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the title come from? Like, what inspired this song?
Okay, there's a bass student of mine and a very dear friend of mine named Kevin Dixon. We get together for bass, lessons. We've been working together for a couple of years, and over that time, he started as a bass student, but became a very dear friend. At our house, we fixed up the attic a little bit, and so instead of it being a basement that you go down to, it's a basement you go up to. And Kevin calls it the VIP lounge.
Nice.
So that tune was inspired by Kevin because I was just coming up with a riff that we could use for lessons to just work on our finger style technique and work on our scale geography. So it started there, but then, hey, this is cool, So yeah, that was inspired by my friend Kevin Dixon.
What's your creative writing process for songs? Like, how do you go about writing new songs?
Sometimes it'll start out as an idea that I heard in my head. Something like that appeared in my head as a complete idea. There's other times that I'll just be noodling on the instrument and you might play a 2-note pattern, and then a couple minutes later that becomes a full-fledged idea. Like, this idea was a top-down idea. I heard the idea complete and then just followed up with it. There's other ideas that are bottom-up, where it might just start as this 2-note snippet and then it develops.
I've heard you respond a lot, like when people compliment you out when we were playing, that you should see my teachers. And I'm just curious, who were your teachers and who's influenced you?
Well, sometimes that became like my self-deprecating response to a compliment, and I'll deflect the compliment. There are a lot of teachers that I've taken lessons with over time that I owe so much to. The first bass teacher that I took lessons with was Scott Quayle. When I was studying with Scott, his technique and his musicianship were scary good. I cannot exaggerate how great Scott was as a bass player and as a musician. Okay, I'm old. This was 1984 that I studied, 1984 and 1985 that I studied with Scott. Scott's technique and his musicianship were a big inspiration and a big influence, and it took me many years, and there's still things that I can remember that he would play back then that are still beyond me. Niles Denning was my music teacher at West Seneca East. He was a virtuoso on the euphonium, but Mr. Denning was a real big advocate of listening to music with big ears. So you're not only playing your part, but you're hearing yourself in the bigger room. It's so easy when you're playing an instrument, you can get tunnel vision. Technique takes a lot of time to develop, and it takes a lot of mental energy. So it's very easy to get into the habit of tuning out what's going on around you. But Mr. Denning was really big on being aware of who you're playing next to. How is your intonation? It's a simple concept for us to understand now, but to put that into words for a kid, that was a profound influence, and I thank him every day in my mind for that. Jim Kersdorfer at Villa Maria College in Buffalo. Gentle, kind, brilliant soul. His analogies for music theory concepts were just so inspiring and sensible. He could take any advanced concept, break it down so I could understand it.
So what's advice you would give to your own students?
Slow down. You don't use a metronome to get timing. You have timing. Everybody has timing. If you have a heartbeat, you have timing. You use a metronome to keep yourself in check. When I'm trying to learn an advanced technique, I know now to slow down and just be patient, work through it. When I'm giving lessons, in my mind, we're equals. I know techniques on instruments that they don't. Okay, but we as people are equals. And when they see for themselves that they can do it, it's not beyond them, it's just a matter of slowing down.
That's really true, because it took me like just recently, maybe the past few years, I started listening to drummers say, like practice slow if you want to get fast. Don't try to like just go fast. You'll just be faster, and it's true, it's like muscle memory. Your fingers know what they're doing. You can get faster without physically having to be faster.
You can visualize something, but when it comes to music, if you think about it, you're audiating when you're visualizing music. With my students and I, when we're working together, we'll audiate a tune in slow motion, and that's the toughest hurdle for us as instrumentalists to get over. But once we get over that hurdle of audiating the music in slow motion, then it becomes an easier thing for us to practice a figure slowly.
Yeah. So you have like 3 different types of basses that you play, which I think is really cool. Obviously the 4-string, 7-string,
Yeah, this one's a 7-string.
and then a fretless.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about like the differences besides the obvious.
Okay, when you play a 4-string bass, the spacing between the strings is a little bit wider because it can be, There's some things that are easier to play on the 4-string because of the width, because of the string spacing. When you have extra strings on a bass, you have extra range, so you can do more stuff. But the
Smaller space.
some techniques are going to be a little bit more difficult because of the narrower string spacing. As I got into extended range basses like the 6-string one, I found that it wasn't meant to be a replacement. And within the bass player subculture, you'll hear people say, "Hey, Jocko only needed 4. Jocko only needed 4-string."
It's the same thing in the drummer world.
Yeah.
Just different things.
Yeah, Buddy only needed a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I just don't pay attention to statements like that. The 4-string bass is going to deliver a certain facility when it comes to techniques. The 6-string or the 7-string, that's also going to deliver facility with different techniques. Finger style bass, thumb plucking and thumb slapping, always going to work best on a 4-string. On the extra range basses, you could use those for like overhand, 2-handed tapping, where your left hand will be playing a figure, but your right hand won't be plucking the strings. Your right hand will also be playing an additional finger. So there's a place, for both.
Because I'm all about that bass, no trouble.
So Jim, tell us about this fretless bass that you have.
This was made by a local luthier named Mark Umfred. Mark does repairs, but Mark is also a builder, and he's very, very good. And with this was made for a gentleman named Jeff Milkalski. Jeff had muscular dystrophy, and he was in a wheelchair, but Jeff still had amazing hands. He was a great musician. Mark made this for Jeff so Jeff could play it in his wheelchair. So when Jeff passed on, a friend of ours named Tony Caniglio saw this bass over at Limelight Music in East Aurora. He asked Jeff's sister if he could take it and give it to me. And to this day, I use it all the time. Every single component on this is local. It's a real privilege to have it.
So cool to own something so unique.
Yeah, it's nothing else like it. Nothing else like it on earth.
So do you take all three basses to a gig sometimes?
Sometimes, yes. With us doing this tonight, it was an opportunity to bring all three of them out because they all have a sound. They all have a function. Lately, I mostly use the 7-string just because you can do anything on it.
So today when we were recording, you just like switch them like
Mm-hmm.
in and out. Does it not take is it like a mental shift for you?
Yes. When we were doing our primary tracks, I was definitely best off using the 4-string, or as I affectionately refer to it as the cow. When I first got this, it only had this one pickup in the back. The body was completely white, so a couple years later, I had someone put the second pickup on it. So the two black pickups with the white body kind of reminded me of a cow. So then I decided to take it a little bit further, and I got my dear friend Darnell Crenshaw from Tone Doctors Music in Lockport to put the decals on so it would look more like a cow.
Awesome.
Hence the nickname, the cow.
Does it produce milk?
What's that?
Does it produce milk?
I think I need an app for that.
Oh.
Yeah. You just come up with these zingers out of nowhere, and it's awesome.
So Jim has brought some of his products to share, some CDs he's recorded with artists. Tell us about the different bands that you have there.
This is a band called Kamikaze LTD. On vocals, we had Gary Andrews, vocals and guitar, and Gary was the primary songwriter. Jack Fink on the drum set, Jim Sinasalchi on the guitar, and I played bass and keys. And we recorded this with our dear friend Chris Fuqua, and he recorded and engineered and mixed it. You know, just had a really nice time recording this with these guys, and really proud of it. My other band, Haiku, with George Palaio on the guitar and Huey Arthur on the drums, and I was playing bass and keys for them. We recorded this at Club Infinity over in Williamsville. We did it live, and we're really proud of it. It was a special night. There were a couple of guest appearances. Sue Kincaid came up and did some vocals. Also, Muse. It was before that Muse. So what happened was we were doing recordings, we were doing gigs, and we were writing songs. This is back in the mid-90s. We played together for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden we got this letter in the mail from this record company in Great Britain, and they represented this other band called Muse. And what we had to do, our attorney, Stephen Fox, he was able to prove through Gusto listings in the Buffalo News, he was able to prove that we existed before them.
That's really cool.
And as a result, their record company bought out our name. Yeah, that for real. I kid you not. But because of that, we were able to make this album, and then we were also able to make this one as well. This was under the name The Cosmic Stepping Stones because we, of course, had to change our name.
Thanks for bringing those.
Oh, you're welcome, and I hope that I look forward to someone enjoying them.
Yeah, every month for our subscribers, we draw names so they can win the product that monthly artist brought. So that's really cool. We're going to be drawing probably 2 names this month, one for VIPs and one for all subscribers. How can people support you this coming year? I know there's obviously been a pandemic. You mentioned you're in a new trio.
We call it the Jim Wynne Band. Wanted to call it the Rolling Stones, but that name's taken. And it's Joe Penavaya from Muse and the Cosmic Stepping Stones. Joe Penavaya plays guitar, and Huey Arthur plays the drum set, and I play bass and I sing. We'll be playing at the Sportsman's once we're all up and
Yeah, and you'll be posting that
running.
on Facebook?
Yes, we will. Yes,
So
we will.
keep an eye out for that. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Thank you, Jim, for sharing all your stories and your time and your talent. Definitely show Jim some love, and we're going to have a tip jar on his page for the whole month, so you can support him, and also his email if you'd like to contact him for booking or to buy any of his CDs or bass lessons. So keep an eye out for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'd just like to, thank you and thank Dave and thank Grace. What you guys are doing here is just so awesome, and I'm blown away that you reached out to me, and I'm so grateful that you took the time. That really means a lot.
I can't wait for you guys to hear the song. So every month we play a different game with all our featured artists. And this month we were thinking of doing something unique with Jim. Jim has a very unique, deep voice, as did my drum teacher and your friend Teddy Reinhardt. So we're gonna suck in some helium and do your favorite impressions of Teddy Reinhardt.
Okay.
He's gonna give us a Teddy impression, Teddy Reinhardt.
Hey Jim, how's it? No, let me.
You got a drum key?
Hey Jim, think you grab me a couple of JoJo's, just make sure they match okay. Hey Jim, yeah, it's weird. It's like it's not.
Are you watching the game tomorrow?
Much later. Later, in the void.
Okay, yeah, I have a little bit of a hint of it.
The following Thursday.
We're huffing helium in the Niagara
We're huffing helium.
huffing
It's better than
helium
that mark.
at the Cultural Center. Yep, we're huffing helium over here. Cultural Center of the Universe over here.
12 o'clock midnight. 3:28 a.m.
Yeah, we could go outside, study some charts, check your blinker fluid, solve the world's problems, or just smoke some pot.
Perfect. Alright, that's good.
That's all we needed. Do all of it.
Jim, you're one of my favorite people in all of Western New York. Seriously, it's such an honor to have you here with us. And I can't wait for everyone to hear your song, VIP. Thanks, everyone. Why does it work for me but not for you?